gamers finally know pretty much all that there is to know about the Nintendo Switch 2 thanks to the early April 2025 Nintendo Direct. While the Direct itself was full of fun reveals and details, one little bit of information hit right at the end of the Japanese version of the presentation that is likely to frustrate fans. The Switch 2 will be region-locked in Japan. Well, kinda. Let's break it down. Danny from the Famicast here. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Sound off in the comments down below, and we may read it out on our bi-weekly show called the Famicast. Of course, you can find news and updates related to Japan and Nintendo like this over on our website, thefamicast.com. Today, though, we're taking a look at the region-locked Switch 2 in Japan, and also talking about how you can get a multi-language version of the system for a pretty penny. Let's take a look. If you weren't watching the Japanese version of the Switch 2 Direct, it's likely that this news may come as somewhat of a shock. Just as the presentation was coming to a close, Koichi Kawamoto was going through the hardware options that will be available at launch, where most regions got announcements of, the standard set and the Mario Kart World bundle. Japan got just a little bit more. Kawamoto went on to say the following.
日本で発売する Nintendo Switch 2は日本語専用かつ国内専用の本体となります。
After detailing the Mario Kart bundle, he brought up a glimmer of hope here, though, and said this.
また、日本語以外の言語が必要な場合は、多言語対応バージョンをマイニンテンドーストアからご購入いただけます。詳しくはダイレクト終了後に公開する公式ホームページをご覧ください。
Now, the great thing about this version of the system versus the Japan-only one is pretty obvious. This supports other languages, up to 16 languages here, including Japanese, and this is for system settings and My Nintendo accounts. Although there is little information as to how, maybe some kind of custom firmware or something, I'm not sure, but the Japan-only units will only allow for Japanese system settings and Japanese My Nintendo account linkage. While having the ability to purchase a non-language lock system is absolutely awesome and something that many of us have grown accustomed to over the years, this specific case comes with some caveats. The base Switch 2 Japan-only unit retails for 49,980 yen, or roughly $334 US dollars. The multi-language system is considerably more expensive, coming in at 69,980 yen, which is roughly 468 USD. And the pricing in Japan for the Switch 2 seems like a pretty great deal, right? Well, I mean, if you don't earn a living in yen or you don't live in Japan, yeah, it's great. If you do, it's not so great. So I think, it seems pretty clear that this is being done in some kind of an effort to prevent scalpers, maybe from buying up all the systems here and then shipping them elsewhere. Now, believe it or not, Nintendo is taking this a step further, and that relates how you can actually get one of these non-Japanese systems if you're here in Japan. As of right now, the only way to try to get a multi-language system in Japan, outside of maybe somebody picking one up for you in another country and shipping it to you or whatever, is via the My Nintendo store, as was outlined earlier. Now, the first batch of pre-orders are set to open up across the country on Thursday, April 24th via lottery. All the systems that are going to be sold at retail across the country will be Japanese language system for Japan only. As was said earlier, again, you can try your luck at the lottery system for the non-Japanese system via My Nintendo, their online store here. However, there are some, again, huge caveats to this, and you must actually meet the following conditions, regardless of which version you want to buy from My Nintendo. First, as of Friday, February 28, 2025, you must have played Nintendo Switch software for at least 50 hours, excluding demos and free software. Next, you must have been a Nintendo Switch Online member for at least a year by the time of entering the lottery and still be an active member. Third, if you are a part of a family plan, only the purchaser of that plan is eligible. And lastly, only those whose country or region Nintendo account is set to Japan may enter. Let's say you do have a Japanese Nintendo account, but you primarily play your games on a different region account. I guess there's just no way for NCL or Nintendo here to know, probably, how many hours you've played, hence the ineligibility here. Now, I totally understand the level of severity to this from Nintendo's perspective, as it would likely be very easy for anyone to just sign up for a Nintendo account and enter. I honestly think that's kind of like what happened with Alarmo and stuff, but I digress. This, I think it can combat resellers, which is awesome. On the other hand, relegating the sale of the non-Japanese system to the My Nintendo store at such a high price is a huge step backwards to a region-locked cruddy past. Of course, this situation is not going to affect many gamers out there. At the same time, it's pretty terrible for fans that make their living, or just live, in Japan and want a way to enjoy some games in their own native tongue. Sure, I know there may be some comments out there or whatever, they're going to talk about how we should learn the language, learn to integrate more into society, etc., etc., etc. And I agree to an extent, but from my own personal history with Nintendo and living in Japan, I did that for years, starting back during the Wii era. Now, while I initially had a US region system when I first got here, it became quickly apparent that living in Japan with a non-Japanese system was a pretty big hindrance. So I went ahead and picked up a Japanese system. And now, if you're too young or you just don't remember, most systems were region locked for the longest time. I continued picking up Japanese hardware with the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U. And then leading up to the Switch, when that thing came out, I was really happy to see such a forward-thinking, easy way to experience Nintendo content in any language that I wanted, particularly in this case, obviously, English. Now, with a few exceptions, a majority of the games for sale here, still, physical copies or on the Japanese eShop, offer English support. Now, with that said, it was just great to be able to play games in English once again. But here we are again, to an extent, I suppose. Now, I should be eligible to try my luck at the lottery, as I meet the criteria to do so. I meet those conditions, but I'm sorry to say that I know not all of you guys out there are going to be so lucky. But let's go ahead and turn things over to you guys. Do you live in Japan? Or are you trying to get one of these consoles? What's your base region that you use? Sign off with any and all comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. As always, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please feel free to drop this one a like. If you feel that we've earned it, consider dropping us a sub. If you want to take it even a step further, if you're a little crazy, you could even consider supporting us over on Patreon. At the end of the day, my goal here with these videos, articles on our website, and our podcast is basically to let people know what gaming's like in Japan, and also to be a resource for Nintendo fans that live here, or short-term or long-term. Now, I know this video is a bit of a bummer for some of you guys out there, but I at least hope that it was helpful. Again, this is Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.